All right, we are now ready to start Coach Jones's press conference. I'd like to remind you once again, no flash photography, no videotaping. Make sure your phones are on mute, and raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll get a mic to you. Coach, could we start with an opening statement, please?
Once again, it's happy to be back here. It's been 3 years. Felt like something's been missing in my life. Now I got it back. So I'm very excited to be here. I'm excited about the opportunity we have to play against one of the best teams in the country. I'm excited about the year that we had, and just ready to get going tomorrow. So just a level of excitement just around the Norfolk State men's basketball program right now.
All right, let's go to David on the edge there.
Coach David Teal with the Virginian Pilot. You mentioned it's good to be back for the first time in 3 years, but your program over the dozen seasons and even when you were assistant just keeps winning and winning, especially at the MEAC level. What has been the key to sustaining that success?
Well, I think the key to sustaining that success, and it's funny you say winning at the MEAC level, we've probably won more games non-conference than we've won in conference and over those times, but just having the right players, the right coaches, just building the right culture, and sometimes that's hard to do in this day and age where there's not a lot of carryover. So it's just the coaches really sticking together. I think that's one of the most undervalued thing that we have is that people always look at your returning players, but I've been with my coaches almost 10 years, each one of them. So I think that's something that's very, very undervalued. So my coaches are clearly happy dealing with me for a decade. So it's great to have them and great for them to keep forging the culture forward, the winning culture that we like to have.
Let's go up here to Mark on the edge.
Robert, I'm Mark Cannizzaro from the New York Post. Just kind of curious, when you look at film, what you see in Walter Clayton Jr., how difficult he is to deal with.
He's been difficult for everybody in the country. Like I told our guys, we just want to slow him down. Over the last 5 games, he's been averaging even more than he's been averaging the whole season. He's been averaging 21, points a game, shooting 42% from 3. Those are real numbers, and he has to be slowed down. We know I'm not going to use the word stop because a kid like that is going to get enough touches, going to get enough opportunities to score the ball that we just have to slow him down. We just can't allow him to have a big game, right? If he gets 10 points, 12, that's okay. We just can't have him get the 25s and the 30s and things of that nature. So he's probably going to be number 1 for us, and hopefully we can do a good job collectively of shutting him down. It's not going to be one person. It's going to be a team effort, and I think everyone's excited about the challenge.
Okay, Sully, can we get in the middle there?
Coach Kyle Nashheim, CBB Review. As Christian talking about the lessons that the team learned from last year's CIT tournament title, he talked about how the halftime score isn't the final score, and they have to keep that mentality. What lessons are you going to draw from in trying to prepare for this Florida team that has been just dominating the entire year?
It's funny. I'm glad Christian listens because we talked about that. We said that the most insignificant score is halftime score because, whether you're up, whether you're up or whether you're down, clearly the other team did something to you that you have a chance to do another 20 minutes to get back, whether you're winning or losing. So the most insignificant score is the halftime score. And for us against last year, the CIT, we were down 18 at one point. And we just kept chipping and came back and won that game by double figures. So Florida is not Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne. They're not them. They're a lot better than them. But at the same time, we've played a pretty tough schedule. We've played 5 NCAA tournament teams, and that was done on purpose to get to a moment like this. Right? We played Tennessee pretty close. We played, we beat High Point. We played a couple other people. We beat Alabama State. We played other people, close. That this shouldn't be a shell shock to us, right? We have to withstand the first blow because I know Florida's playing for a national championship. But the thing I tell our guys, if we're one of the 68 teams here, we're playing for a national championship too. So we have to be able to withstand their first blow, those first 2 medias to try to make it a game. Any other upset that we've had in 2012 with Missouri, in 2019 with Alabama, those were all close games in the first half, and it gave us the confidence to kind of push us through the second half. And that's what we're hoping for with tomorrow against Florida.
Okay, we're going to go to David back there. Sully, if you can get Steven next up here, and then we'll go up front.
2012, 2019.
Yeah.
In 2012, that came on the heels of the football program making the FCS playoffs for the first time and playing Old Dominion. And now Michael Vick in football, you and Coach Vickers have your teams in March Madness. Is the vibe around Norfolk State athletics similar at all to the way it was in 2011-12?
Without question, there's a lot of excitement. Like you said, Coach Vickers is doing an amazing job with the women's basketball program. We've won 3 out of the last 5 MEAC titles to be in March Madness, and now the excitement around Coach Vick. So you potentially have your 3 revenue sports that should be able to take off, right? So there is a level of excitement. It's probably even more excitement than it was back in 2011, 2012, because that was the first for everything. That was the first football championship. That was the first basketball championship. Now that we've done it a few times, it's the level of what's next. How can we keep upgrading this program to not only be one of the best programs in the MEAC or the HBCU program, but to be one of the best mid-majors in the country. And I think that the basketball teams have done that. You got the women's basketball team. I think they're like number 4 in the mid-major poll. We were 25 in the mid-major poll. So we're starting to show that it's not just about the MEAC or HBCU, that we're really one of the best mid-majors in the country. And we play a good brand of basketball, and we're ready to put that on display tomorrow.
Sully, if you can give mic to Stephen, and then we're going to go right up front next.
Stephen Gaither, HBCU Game Day. Coach, you talked about the 2012 team, and the thing about the 2012 team, you had a lot of those guys for a lot of years, and obviously things are different now. Mm-hmm. But what does it mean to have a guy like Christian Ings, who has stuck around for 4 years, and had a lot of 4-year guys left these days, and what kind of similarities maybe do you see from this team to that team?
Christian Ings is going to be like a dinosaur, the last remaining 4-year guy in Division I, because you might as well get a fossil of him, because he's the last guy standing. There's not going to be another 4-year Division I guy. Like we've spoken before, if you're too good, you're going to transfer. If you're not good and you're mad, you're going to transfer. So there's not going to be another 4-year guy. So with that being said, I think that he has a tremendous pride in Norfolk State, because clearly, not saying what level he would have went to, but he could have transferred last year. He averaged almost 10 points a game, and this kid is averaging 4 points a game. That's transferring. But Norfolk State has been good to him. He's been good to Norfolk State, and I'm sure that he wants to cap off his career with a tremendous win, tomorrow. So he's focused. I think he's trying to get everyone else to be as focused as him, because there's no extra year for him. There's no second chance for him. Like this is it. So I think he's going to play with a level of urgency, a level of intentionality, and hopefully we'll go get the job done.
Okay, let's go up front here.
Royal Howell, the Juice Network. Coach, you mentioned, being battle-tested, playing High Point and Alabama State, getting those wins. Do you think the team kind of thrives off being that tremendous underdog coming into tomorrow, David versus Goliath type of mentality?
Yeah, I think that for myself, I coach better when I'm angry. And I'm angry a little bit about the way the point spread is and things like that. I know Florida's really, really good, and they run a great program, got great players, but are we that bad that point spread is that like that? So so I'm a little angry, and like I said, I'm a little bit more focused and coach better when I'm angry. I think the players play better when they're angry. A lot of times in the MEAC conference, we're always the hunted. Right? Like we're not the hunter, but out of conference, we're the hunter. And that's what we try to prove ourselves. We try to show that it's more than just the MEAC. It's more than just, HBCU or whatever it is, that we are truly one of the best teams in the country. So I think there's a different level of focus and intensity that we bring, hence why we've competed well in the non-conference this year against some of the best teams in the country. So I think that tomorrow the guys are excited about the challenge. No one in that locker room is scared. No one in that locker room is afraid. We're excited about the challenge of playing at the University of Florida.
Okay, David, you got a question?
When you coach angry, how does it manifest itself? How do you get that across to your players, and how do they respond?
They know when I'm angry. They know. They see it in my eyes. They see it on the way I walk. They see the way I talk. I'm a New York City guy. So I guess I'm angry by nature, coming from up there. but I'm a New York City guy, and they know when I'm angry. And I think that because they understand, I coach with a chip on my shoulder. No matter all the accolades I might have got in my career so far, there's still sometimes there's a lot of doubters. You know, there's doubters in the world. There's people who think that, oh, you're just doing it, you know, in the MEAC, or you just do it in the HBCU, and that's a damn lie. You know, we do it all across the country against some of your favorite coaches have lost to Norfolk State. So it's just another opportunity to go out there with a chip on our shoulder, or my shoulder too, to show the world that it's different than what they think it is.
Any other questions for Coach Jones? Going once, going twice.
Sold.
All right, Coach. Thank
Shout
you
out
very
Justin
much
Jones.
for your time.
Shout out my son. He's next up right there. Next up, Player of the Year. Player of the Year. Metro Conference Player of the Year right there, baby.
Good luck tomorrow. Next up, we have the Duke student athletes at 12:35.